A lot of adult triathletes who learn to swim later in life have the same problem. They can get swim fit, but they struggle to get fast. In this video, I'm going to show you how I use high-intensity swim training to help break through that speed ceiling, and 2 simple sessions I use with the triathletes that I coach. I'm Coach Kronk, and this is the swim episode of our VO2 Max series. Let's dive in. If you watched my VO2 Max bike episode, then you will have noticed that there's a strong message around the physiology of VO2 Max and what we're striving to achieve within those sessions. Swimming is different. I don't ask the athletes to wear heart rate monitors in the pool, so I'm not prescribing intensity based on heart rate or even very often on pace either. That leaves us with rate of perceived exertion, or RPE. So that means generally all I'm telling athletes to do for these high intensity intervals is swim as fast as they can with good form. Now that is the key, the important part here is that if they can swim fast with good form and there is a VO2 max stimulus there, then that is very much a bonus. But essentially, we're just trying to accumulate time swimming as fast as possible whilst maintaining the best form they can. Of course, everybody can improve their technique, but I'm assuming here that your technique is okay and that there are gains to be made through executing the right session. But of course, any improvement in technique is going to be bonus also. Because swimming is extremely technical, swimming harder doesn't necessarily make you faster. As fatigue increases, skill levels decrease, and ultimately velocity can decline. That is not what we want. We're not looking for you to swim so hard that your technique completely deteriorates and you slow down. Steven Seiler often discusses this principle in endurance sports with the cross-country skiers that he's studied. They're interested in the physiology, of course, but ultimately velocity matters. So if form deteriorates and velocity declines, you've gone over your limits and it's time to pause. Most of the triathletes I coach are adult learner swimmers, not lifelong competitive swimmers. So this is a very common profile that I see. Maybe their steady endurance swimming pace is somewhere between 1:55 and 2 minutes per 100 meters. And then for their threshold swim pace, it's somewhere around 1:50 per 100 meters. There's not a very big gap there between a pace they can sustain for perhaps a half Ironman or an Ironman and the pace they can sustain for just 100-meter repeats, for example. They can get very fit through swimming more, but they struggle to break those barriers and get faster. And what you'll find is that more exposure to threshold swimming, hammering away at the same 100-meter, 200-meter threshold repeats, isn't going to see a shift in that swim speed. They need exposure to much higher intensities to be able to raise that speed ceiling and hold good form while swimming faster. We're not looking for miraculous changes here. Unfortunately, these adult learner swimmers lack the mobility and the coordination of younger athletes, and perhaps just shifting their threshold swim speed from 150 per 100 to 140 per 100 meters is all we can achieve. But if you look at results and splits for Ironman 70.3 and Ironman, that is quite a meaningful improvement in performance amongst your peers. If you can improve your swim speed by 10 seconds per 100 meters, you will notice within the results, you will move up the field significantly. So how do you do it? Well, you have to swim fast. So you start with short repeats, perhaps just 25-meter repeats, and you swim essentially as fast as you can whilst maintaining the best form you can. So if you're to string together 25-meter repeats swimming that fast, you're going to need plenty of recovery. So start with lots of recovery, so much so that the session probably isn't going to feel that taxing initially. It'll feel more like a skills session. That's fine. We're just looking to accumulate lots of time swimming fast with good form. As you get more comfortable swimming at this higher swim speed, you can then maybe progress from 25-meter repeats to 50-meter repeats, again, keeping those recovery periods nice and long. then maybe you can alternate and go back to 25-meter repeats, but start to decrease that rest. You can also add some more repetitions as well. So decrease rest and accumulating more time swimming at that higher swim speed. So first we're looking at raising that speed ceiling, and then we work on bringing the rest of their swimming speeds up underneath it. Okay, let me show you the simple sessions that I use. A steady warm-up, 200 to 400 meters, say, and then a block of drills. I usually insert a 200-meter block of drills that are specific to the needs of the athlete. Then we do a block of short, fast repeats. They're 25-meter repeats. We might do anything from 8 up to 20 repeats in a block. We'd then do in between that some very easy swimming or more drills, and then repeat that block again. More drills again to finish and cool down. The key thing here is that we are looking for the athlete to push themselves for those short repeats, but the repeats should be short enough that they can maintain the best form possible while still working hard. If form really starts to get ragged, then perhaps we've made those repeats too long or the recoveries are too short. So start with long recoveries so that you can accumulate lots of time swimming with good form. Only then start to make the repeats longer or reduce the recoveries. It is important to note that this is a high intensity training session as well. So it is going to affect the balance of your intensity distribution across the week. So it's not a session that I like to use week after week. So I have another session which I sandwich between the weeks that we do the full-on high-intensity swim session. And this is just a steady endurance swim with a few fast, hard efforts at the end. So it'll have a good block of endurance swimming, 200-meter to say 500, 600-meter repeats, depending on the athlete. And then at the end, we'll do a block of 25-meter or 50-meter hard repeats. So it's challenging the athlete to swim fast with some fatigue already in the system, but we'll put adequate rest between those fast repeats so that their form still remains. I think it's a good way to just microdose that intensity into a session that's not going to have a knock-on effect to other high-intensity sessions in the week. And it also just engages the athlete and gets them to think about finishing that session with really good form. I think that's super important with swim sessions, is always finish a set with the best form you can so that any improvements made hopefully carry through to the next time you get in the pool. We often see triathletes at the pool with a huge bag of pool toys and gadgets and doing every possible drill you can think of. But I honestly think that actually just swimming fast is a great way for a triathlete to break through that speed plateau. So there you have it. 2 super simple swim sessions that I regularly use as a coach of hundreds of triathletes. Please do try this approach and let me know how you got on. If you haven't already watched the Bike VO2 Max episode, then give that a watch. Look out for the Run VO2 Max episode coming soon. If you'd like to talk to me about coaching, I'll leave a link to my email down below, or you can have a look on our website. Good luck with your training and racing.